Eagles fans, how we feeling? The Dallas Cowboys are coming up this week. They are fresh off of a win against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Philadelphia Eagles back-to-back wins against the NFC North's best teams, San Chicago, going on the road, beating the Green Bay Packers at home, beating the Detroit Lions, making Jared Goff look like Justin Fields. They've also beaten the Rams this season. They've beaten the Buccaneers this season. They've beaten the Chiefs this season, and all of that without the offense looking as potent as it did last year. Is it going to come around? Are the play calls going to get a little bit better? Let me know what you think in the comments section below, but through all that, through all those wins I've just named, there's still naysayers out there. And Dan Orlovsky, he's been a frequent flyer over here. Dan Orlovsky, what did you have to say?
Yeah, I'm giggling because this pass offense is so much like Dallas's last year. I mean, Dallas's last year, I remember calling it the theme paper offense, where it's just straight lines. That's kind of what this pass game is in Philly this year. No, this offense is not good enough to win the Super Bowl for a second straight year, okay? It's the deadly combination of two. Yes.
Dan, let me ask you a question, bro. You've been in so many offensive meets. How hard is it to install some of those things that Mina just mentioned, bunches, rub route? Is that such a philosophical change, or can you do that to try to free up a A.J. Brown and a Devontae Smith?
No, it's very easy to install. It's really about just making sure everybody's on their release patterns, because you don't want to obviously run into each other. But these aren't things that are unbelievably difficult, and having multiple releases and or route combinations off of it, Marcus. They've done it occasionally in the past. It's just not nearly enough. And last year it was so much easier to not have to do it because they had so much of these ridiculous one-on-ones. Right now, this is why I say this offense can't win the Super Bowl, is because it's the deadly combination of two things. Way too many 3-and-outs and not nearly explosive enough. Okay, so right now, 3-and-outs, they're the worst in the NFL. I can have you be a 3-and-out offense if you're unbelievably explosive. They're worse than middle of the pack when it comes to explosive plays. Or I can have you just be an explosive offense if you're crazy efficient. But they're neither. And so there's that deadly combination of they either get a 3-and-out or they have like one explosive play a quarter. That's not going to be good enough against teams like LA, against teams like the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to come back to bite them unless they fix it.
They got Dallas this week. Can Dallas get them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
With the way that pass rush helped last night or looked last night, I'm not expecting it right now.
Well, it's not going to happen against the Los Angeles Rams. Well, it already happened this year against the Los Angeles Rams, and I think all Eagles fans know the offense looked very stagnant. And then what happened? The fourth quarter rolls around. Some route concepts opened up. Since we want to use Mina Kimes' term, some route concepts opened up. We pushed the ball downfield. We were aggressive, and we scored. Defense held pat, held the Los Angeles Rams, and we continued and chopped away at the lead and chopped away at the lead and chopped away at the lead and ultimately won that game. So with this defense playing as good as it's playing, I think that the offense just needs to give us 21 points in these games, especially when it comes to playoff time. They're going to be coming to Philly, playing in the cold weather. Defense is looking top in the league. They're getting after the quarterback. Their pursuit is next level. They don't allow touchdowns. They tackle extremely well. They're allowing, 3.5 yards a carry? Not even for the run game. So I do think there will come a time in the playoffs or a time leading up to the playoffs where we will get into a shootout. You can't expect the defense every single game to hold the opposing teams under 13 points. You can't expect it every single game. There's going to be a shootout, maybe here or there, throughout the rest of the season. The question is, when it's time to get into those shootouts, are we going to open up the playbook? The one time we needed to open up the playbook this year against Los Angeles Rams, we did it. We opened up the playbook against the Minnesota Vikings. We played extremely well offense against the New York Giants. So there is history there. It just hasn't been consistent for 4 consecutive quarters. Philadelphia Eagles need to show 4 consecutive quarters of solid offense, and that's something that they have not done yet this season. But the problem with what Dan Orlovsky is saying is that He's thinking that we're teams where our defense isn't the best in the league, where we're going to need to win 35-31 in multiple games in the postseason. Dan, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure you watched some Philadelphia. That's not how it's going to happen in the postseason. It's going to be 21-12, 21-13, Philadelphia Eagles win. 21-10, Philadelphia Eagles win. 19-7, Philadelphia Eagles win. 24-17, Philadelphia Eagles win. Those are the types of games that we're going to be getting into if the Eagles want to return to a Super Bowl. There's going to be one shootout potentially on the way there. The question, will our offense bail our defense out that game? They've shown that they could. They've done it before this year. We saw in the Super Bowl last year. The Super Bowl last year, many people forget, Jalen Hurts just outplayed Patrick Mahomes again. In the playoffs, his game elevates. Dan Orlovsky, of course, getting fried. What's new? Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Packers, and Lions were all supposed to beat us because we are a dysfunctional team according to the media. Now we sit at 8-2. If the best NFC teams can't beat us, then who is going to stop us from flying? Again, 8-2 with an offense that isn't looking as potent as last year, with an offense whose route concepts aren't top-notch in the league. Again, there's still time to figure this out. There's still time to iron out these details. Dan just said the passing game has to be better in order to beat the Rams, as if the Eagles didn't this season use the passing game to beat the Rams. Yeah, Dan, did you giggle about Matthew Stafford throwing for 130 yards in a dome at home against the Seahawks? Those Rams receivers must have been running straight lines because they ain't do shit. Where is the criticism for the boy genius, Sean McVay? Last question, Dan. Why are these good teams losing to such an anemic offense, Dan? If the Eagles get home field advantage, Dan, do you think these teams can beat this anemic offense in Link in probably very cold and windy conditions? If the Eagles get home field advantage, unless the offense goes straight cold and only scores 6 points, I don't want to say they're marching to the Super Bowl, but I am 90% sure that they're going to get back to at least the Super Bowl. The only team, and we've beaten them the last 3 times we faced them, the only team I'm a little wary of would be the Los Angeles Rams. But just like they made moves, we made moves. And I can't harp on this enough. Jalen Phillips was the biggest addition to any team at the trade deadline. This defense looks dominant. It looked very good before Jalen Phillips got here. These last 2 weeks, it's looked dominant. And then on the back end, iron out the back end. Jordan Davis coming back. Nolan Smith came back. It's the only team. I'm not worried about the Seahawks in the slightest way. Not worried about the Buccaneers in the slightest way. Not worried about the Lions in the slightest way. I'm not worried about the Bears in the slightest way. The only team would be the Los Angeles Rams. That's it. But if they're coming to the Link, you know what they said in Batman, right? It'll be a cold day and you know what. Not a great take, Dan. The Eagles' passing offense has taken a dip the last 2 weeks due to high win games. Neither Goff, Love, or Hurts can get the ball downfield. Hurts' superpower is the deep ball, so it's been limited due to weather. Secondly, the Eagles have all these problems, but we are 8-2. But this isn't some Mickey Mouse 8-2 record like the Pats. Damn! The team you glaze for playing no competition. This 8-2 record includes beating top NFC teams like the Rams again. Dan, how many times did you pick the Eagles last year in the playoffs? You all of a sudden declared them a Super Bowl team after the Super Bowl. Should we take you serious with your track record last year, Dan? I'm praying the Eagles win another Super Bowl this year. The media fallout would be glorious to watch. Yeah, it would be glorious to watch. And I think Eagles fans will agree with you. The offense needs to step up. The offense isn't playing well. Every Eagles fan will agree with that. But when the time comes and there's that moment to meet, will they meet that moment? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I appreciate all the support. Like the video, subscribe. That'd mean a lot to me. See you later. Peace.